My name is Irene, and today I'm here to give insight and suggestions for general education teachers working with deaf and hard of hearing students. It is important that all students have equal access to learning. According to an article called Roles and Responsibilities of Itinerant Specialist Teachers of Deaf and Hard of Hearing Students, general education teachers with deaf and hard of hearing students work closely with an itinerant teacher. An itinerant teacher is a teacher that travels to various schools or districts. They work with students that are mainstreamed. Some team teach with the general ed teachers, while others do pull out or push in. They also consult with the general ed teachers, offering suggestions and doing progress monitoring of the students. There are a few topics I would like to discuss with you today. Number 1, the differences between hearing, deaf, and hard of hearing. Number 2, classroom setting. Number 3, oral rehab issues. And number 4, instructional strategies, including captioning. Number 1, you may ask, what's the difference between hearing, deaf, and hard of hearing? A hearing student knows that they're hearing. They receive information both auditorily and visually. If a teacher is explaining what she's writing on the board and the hearing student is looking down, that student can still receive the information auditorily. A deaf student knows that they're deaf. They receive information visually. They rely on lip reading or manual communication, such as sign language. A hard of hearing student may hear something happening in class and the teacher's speech. They can get visual and auditory information. However, if they turn away from the teacher, they can still miss the information. This discussion will lead us into our next topic. Number 2, classroom setting. In order to minimize deaf and hard of hearing students missing information, is to make sure that they get preferential seating. This way, they can clearly see the teacher or the interpreter's face. It is important for your student to pay attention to their interpreter, if they have one. There are some students that do not use an interpreter, but they rely on the teacher's speech and lip reading. When speaking, make sure to use a clear speech and never face away from the student. There will be times where the interpreter may ask you to repeat a word or a sentence because it was not clear or it was said too fast. Make sure when you're talking to the student that you face the student, not the interpreter. Remember, you are answering or conversing with the student, not the interpreter. Number 3, oral rehab issues. If you have a deaf and hard of hearing student in your class, you may need to wear an FM system. An FM system is like a microphone that is connected to the student's hearing aid or cochlear implant. If the FM system is not working, there may be a communication breakdown. It is important that every morning and afternoon after lunch and specials to perform a sound check to make sure they work. You can use a battery tester or do a Ling sound test. If the hearing aid or cochlear implant is not working, check the battery to make sure it's not corroded or dead. Also, check to make sure that the tubing or ear mold is not dirty. If the FM system is not working, it's best to call your itinerant teacher or any other deaf education specialist to help you. Number 4, reading and writing issues. It is common for deaf and hard of hearing students to struggle with literacy. This is mainly due to low reading and language levels. Struggling may range from decoding words to making connections with the text. It is important that you know your students' reading and writing level. This can be obtained from classwork, observations, or assessments like the BRI or the ISOL. Once you have determined your students' reading and writing level, let's assume that it's below grade level, you may ask yourself, what do I do next? Figure out specifically their strengths and weaknesses and start making small goals and look at their IEP. Our main goal is for our students to improve their literacy skills and to get them ready for state exams like the STAR. When your student reads to you, get a book that is exactly on their reading level. For some, you may need to get a book that is one grade level below. Try doing shared reading, where you and the student take turns. Pre-teach vocabulary if there are words that you feel is significant to learn from the story. You can make pre-teaching vocabulary game-like. You can incorporate pictures so students can have a visual representation of the word. Be ready to ask comprehension questions in between. Have different ranges of questions. Don't just ask factual questions. If they don't answer questions correctly, figure out why they can't. You can use strategies like DRTA, reciprocal teaching, or graphic organizers. You want the student to be able to make connections and reflect what they read. If they're low reading levels, try nonfiction books that they can easily relate to. Finding out why writing is low may help you help them. Is it low because they have limited language or short memory? Break writing into small steps. You can use mnemonic strategies. Like with reading, you and the student can do shared writing or guided writing. Encourage and teach students to use graphic organizers to help brainstorm and organize thoughts. Try to add visuals to your lesson plan. If you're giving written instructions on the board, try to simplify writing. In addition to our instructional strategies discussion, I would like to talk about captions. Nowadays, teachers like to incorporate technology into their instruction. It's always fun for students to enjoy watching YouTube or short movie clips for educational purposes. As I stated in the beginning, it is important that all students have equal access to learning. Some deaf and hard of hearing students may not be able to hear the videos. If there's not an interpreter present, then how can the student understand? If the class is watching a video and you can't add captions, then you need to create typed or written transcription of the video. If you add a self-made video into your lesson, they need to have captions. When you add any type of multimedia that has videos, try to find ones that are already captioned. We have already discussed the differences between hearing, deaf, and hard of hearing students, classroom settings, oral rehab issues, and instructional situations. If you like more information about what I discussed, feel free to visit these websites.